All right. Welcome back to Anthony's Political Podcast. Again, I apologize for not hitting the deadlines with Sundays and Wednesdays at 3 p.m. I'm still trying to figure this out, get the best time, the best days to post. But we're keeping up with twice a week posting. So, I apologize for that. And let's get right in. All right. So, first thing, we got some housekeeping. I thought this meme was funny. Says some random mosquito after drinking a Democrat's blood and getting hit with 502 booster shots and 16 different antidepressants. And it's a video of a skeleton getting blasted with a nuclear bomb, basically. I just thought it was funny because that's true. If I had to guess, the left uses a lot more antidepressants than the right does. And obviously a lot more, booster shots and COVID vaccines. Not that there's anything wrong with antidepressants from like a I make fun of you type standpoint. It's not like that. I just think antidepressants are not the greatest way to go about mental health. It should be kind of a last resort type thing. So, but I just thought that was a funny meme to share. On to the next part of housekeeping. So Hillary Clinton, she's back in the news. Okay. Hillary Clinton suggests a formal deprogramming for 70 million members of the Trump cult. Okay. So people who support Trump are obviously a cult. Obviously, Trump tells us to listen to him and don't question him. He tells us not to think for ourselves. You know, we're all crazy. Everyone's QAnon. Everyone's this. Everyone's that. This is just wild that she can get away with saying this, and it's kind of like flown under the radar a little. Like if Donald Trump said that we need to like deprogram people that support, Hillary Clinton or the left, he would have another indictment case against him. Okay? He would be ripped off of every social media. He would be ousted. He would be completely canceled. You may even see an attempt on his life if he said something like this, you know? So the fact that Hillary can get away with saying this is absolutely wild to me. It's just crazy. It's unhinged. All right, we're moving quickly. Next order of business in housekeeping. Crocs. Crocs unveiled a new cowboy boot. Okay, it's supposed to be released later this month. The reason this is in housekeeping is because it's kind of tied with the prime bottles being empty type argument. Like businesses are kind of just going too far. Now, I get that there's like Crocs are cool, and I get that there's a practical use for them. Okay. I get that there's a practical use for boots. But for Croc boots, I'm not sure. Okay. It's kind of the worst of both worlds here. It doesn't have the weatherproofness and the water resistant nature of boots because it's Crocs with holes in the bottom. And it also doesn't have the normalized look that Crocs have come to inhabit. Okay. These are the worst of both worlds. They're not the functionality of boots, and they're more ugly than Crocs, which is crazy. Okay. I'm not going to judge people for wearing these, but it's kind of like what are we doing here? Okay. Crocs, like people wear Crocs because they're like easy to put on. They're laceless, they're easy to take off, you know what I'm saying? And they're convenient, okay? They're comfortable, they're easy to get on and off. That's why we wear Crocs. You can get them wet and they'll dry in a few minutes or whatever. No one wears Crocs because of any other reason. And the fact that you just made them into boots and you're taking away all the easeability of putting them on and off, you taking away probably some of the comfort. Just why? Like focus on making like cool versions of Crocs, not boots. Okay, bro? All right. We got some other housekeeping items. So we're moving quickly today. We got something from Drama Alert on X, and it's about Ice Poseidon, okay? Now, this video isn't a standalone. There's other videos kind of like it that I've been seeing pop up recently, okay? And it speaks to a greater issue that I want to get to, but let's just watch this first. All right?
Are you not freezing? And you got a jacket on today.
Yeah, it's a puffer. And I'm kind of used to the weather here. I thought you would.
1 minute. He's coming in.
Oh!
What the is that? Yo, get him!
All right, so I'm mentioning this in the podcast because this speaks to like a broader trend, kind of trend, I guess, that's been going around for a long time. Okay, this is not a new idea. All right, what I'm talking about is randomly pranking people in ways that can be harmful or can get you hurt. Okay, for example, in this video, okay, guy sprays Ice Poseidon in the face with an unknown liquid. We don't know what that is off first glance. It could be literally anything. Okay, he gets chased. What if the guy tackles him right here and he falls right down the stairs and dies? Or what if he breaks his leg? What if he rolls his ankle and tears his Achilles? Okay, what if the guy chasing him tears his Achilles or falls down the stairs and hurts himself? Now you just became liable for someone's injury. Okay, that's not cool. Like this, the reason this isn't housekeeping is because I wanted to talk about, you know, how young people, I would say Gen Z and Gen Alpha now, millennials probably when they were younger had this as well. It seems like there's a high percentage of like people who are annoying and want to become like YouTube pranksters when they're older, okay? And there's people acting on this now. You know, kids are going into like Walmart and like messing up with people. You know, you're going into Target and messing with people. You're going into Home Depot and, you know, they're like going up to strangers and doing wild things that are annoying them. Some people are just walking up like around Santa Monica, for example, and just doing dangerous pranks that can get them shot. Or, you know, people will go, I don't know, say the N-word in the hood or something. All right? Like this kind of behavior is not good. It's harmful to the person carrying it out. It's inspiring a whole generation of like younger kids to go and do this stuff. And it has, like I said, it has two bad results. Like the first bad result, the most important one, is that someone can get hurt and you don't want someone to get hurt. The second thing is that you're being annoying and no one likes you. No one thinks you're cool if you do this. It's like it's not worth it. There's diminishing return on being like a cool YouTube prankster and stuff. Like just go on YouTube and make different content or make harmless pranks. Like I've seen a prank like that, you know, from a guy where, you know, people were going into like a porta potty in a public place, okay? And this guy had like an office room on wheels. And what he would do, someone would go in there to like pee or to drop a big dump, you know what I'm saying? And he would wheel the portable office room up to the door of the porta potty. So when the person using the porta potty comes out, there's like an entire conference room full of people and they're in the middle of it. Like they walk out into this conference room and you're like, what the heck? Like I was just in the porta potty. What's happening? Okay. That is a harmless prank. Okay. There's no harm, no foul. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just confusing. Like, yo, what? It's just disorienting. That's literally it. Okay. Stop with the, you know, I shot this guy in public prank, or saying the N-word in the hood prank, or like going up to people with a knife prank. Like that's not going to get you the views you want, and like with no chance of you getting hurt. Like it's just not worth it. Okay. Stop trying to go viral through that. Okay. Go viral for making cool food on the internet, or, you know, for making decorative coffees or something. Like do something that's harmless and like benefits people in some way, teaches them how to do something or entertains them in a funny and harmless way. It's just like, stop trying to be a prankster, dude. It's not cool. I saw another older video with Ice Poseidon where he was in public and some other streamer, I guess an IRL streamer, like ran up to him and like dumped like liquid from a cup onto him, and apparently it was like poop water. Like, really, dude, that's not cool. And the same thing happened. Like, someone from Ice Poseidon's crew just chased the guy, and then I think he ended up getting arrested by cops. So, like, it's like it's not worth it. Just stop trying to be famous. Stop trying to do that. Like, just do different things. All right, moving on. All right, this one is kind of a quick one. It's just from Betty Johnson on X. Joe Biden is running out of batteries. Sorry, my phone just went off, but so let's see what this says.
You turn on the television, and there's not a whole lot about boy saves dog as he swims in the lake, you know.
It's true. Not a lot of that anymore. It's a shame.
Say, you know, it's about, you know, somebody pushed the dog in the lake. I mean, I get it, but you turn on the television.
I get it, but like, so Joe Biden's running out of batteries. You know, obviously we know that. If you're a watcher of this podcast, you know that our president is running out of batteries and he's basically a corpse, dead guy in office. Like, no, that's not new information to anybody. I just figured I would show you this just to, to make sure and confirm that, yeah, it's still true. Okay. Joe Biden is still running low on batteries and he's still doing gaffes like that, still getting lost mid-sentence. However, I do think he started to make a good point, all right?
You turn on the television, and there's not a whole lot about boy saves dog as he swims in the lake, you know.
There isn't. You're seeing more stories of, who pushed the dog in the lake. He's correct about that. But I would ask him to take his logic to its conclusion, okay? You're halfway there. Keep unraveling, all right? What you're going to find at the end, Joe, is that when you get to the end of this logic, what's making this happen, okay? And as you guys know, the things making this happen are, we're not emphasizing a virtuous life. We're not emphasizing a high trust society. We are putting policy in place that sets people free after they've been arrested 60 times. Okay, specifically in like leftist cities like Chicago, New York, New York City, California, like things like that. Like, we live in a low trust society. We're removing God from schools. We're removing God from our society. And that's just the result, If you remove, virtuous teachings from your society, you're bound to end up with someone pushing the dog in the lake instead of, the young kid who plays baseball on Saturdays saved his dog from drowning, or, some kid stopped a home intruder with his dad's gun and he was 12 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to see less of the people carrying other people through a flood after a tornado or a hurricane, whatever. You're going to see less of that, and you're going to see more selfish people and more, more vanity and more of a low trust society and more street rat behavior. Okay. So my advice, get out of the cities, go to places that, the policy is good. Okay. Do a lot of research before you move somewhere. And if you can't afford to move somewhere, maybe try, if it's important to you, try and get to the point where you can, where you can afford it and where you're not going to be stuck in one place, even if that's leaving the country, like, America is still a great country. Like, the things we have to worry about here are a lot better problems to worry about in a lot of ways than other countries. America is still a first world country. It's on its way to third world. However, we still are a great country. But, you know, other countries have been impressing me lately, all right? You know, like I know we know Poland is pretty based. The only thing that stinks about Poland is that it's, you know, it's winter there a lot, so but you get what I'm saying. Like, get yourselves to the point where you're not dependent on where you're stuck at. All right? So that was why I wanted to mention this in housekeeping. Next up, we have a tweet or an X from End Wokeness. AOC, our favorite member of the House from New York. AOC explains that walls don't work and the U.S. is the reason why socialist countries in Latin America are poor. That is a hefty blame. Let's see what that says.
I think it's a terrible idea. I think it's a broken promise. But additionally, let's say you completely disagree on this. You could build a great big Trumpy wall on the entire U.S. southern border, and it's still not going to fix this problem. And I'll tell you why.
A big Trumpy wall, and it's not going to fix the problem. Let's see what she has to say.
The U.S. and U.S. foreign policy is contributing to the displacement of millions of people in South America to begin with. And if we do not address the migrant crisis at its root, it is still going to continue to be a problem. And if you have the displacement of millions of people, it is going to continue to destabilize the entire region. And so I think it's a terrible.
So obviously AOC is right. She's never been wrong. You know, U.S. policy is destroying Latin America. We figured it out, guys. All we have to do is stop destroying their society. We have to just stop killing them. That's all we have to do. All right? I don't know of a single example of what she just explained. I don't know of a single policy that the U.S. has posted, all right, or ratified, whatever you want to call it. I don't know of a single policy that's taken effect that inhibits the abilities of Latin America to succeed, okay? But I understand where she's coming from. I mean, obviously Latin American nations don't have governments. They don't have anyone with responsibility there. They're obviously a lower class of being than us. They're barely human compared to us United States members, okay? U.S. citizens are the only ones who can save them, and we're the only ones who are killing them. I'm obviously kidding. All right? Nothing has contributed to the downfall of Latin America except Latin America. Okay? The reason why Latin American countries are so uninhabitable with such high crime rates, rampant poverty, and why they're insanely low trust societies is all because they are socialist and communist, and they have been for a long time, okay? Their policy, their own policy, is what destroyed them. Their government created a low trust society and implemented policies that were socialist to the point where everyone felt it more beneficial to them to just become a degenerate. Okay? That is what killed Latin American success, not the US. Okay? That's what killed them. The evidence of that is because we're now following in their footsteps, and guess what? No one who comes here feels safe. No one who comes here anymore enjoys being in the US. Like, people who live here are frustrated at the policies and the happenings of their communities. And it's all because we're following in their footsteps. We're following the socialist propaganda, okay? And we have to stop. That's what's killing everything. Not us colonizing Latin America and making them our, like, not, you know, we're not, no one's eating their lunch. They're eating their own lunch that they never had to begin with because they're socialist. All right? So that's the next order of housekeeping. The next thing I want to talk about kind of goes along with this. Okay? Next up is a X from Tim Pool. I almost said tweet. I'm so sorry. Next up is an X from Tim Pool, and he quoted a tweet from Tony X2. Okay, what it says is, breaking news. This was breaking on October 5th, so it's a couple days old. The Chicago youth football team is being kicked out of their neighborhood field house so it can become a migrant shelter on Monday. Okay? Players and over 600 residents showed up to protest. All right? Let me preface this real quick before I show you the video. They couldn't have picked a worse field house to target. All right? And I'll get to it in a sec. So I got the players in jerseys. They got what looks like parents and community members with them. They got the youngsters. All right, that's enough of that. I just wanted to, show this video to get a context, to give you guys context on how many people actually were in there. It looks like a pretty packed house, okay? The reason why they picked such a horrible field house to have this in is because this is Chicago, okay? This is minorities. Look at all the black people in here. Look at that. It's all black players. Why would you pick an all black Chicago field house to store immigrants in? If you're gonna do it, at least do it with like a white neighborhood where it's like we can't say anything. Like, what are we gonna do? Complain? That's racist. But like what? They really did pick the worst field house. It's good to see that they're protesting. I hope they're protesting and then vote Brandon Johnson out. All right. I don't know if this was his doing, but whoever's fault this was, they got to get this guy out of office. Okay. And as for the immigrants, as for the illegal immigrants, like this stuff is going to continue to happen. It really is. Like, I don't know whose field house is next. It could be Albany, New York. It could be Palm Springs, Florida. It could be, Los Angeles. It could be Corpus Christi, Texas. It could be Detroit, Michigan. It could be Tacoma, Washington. Could be Newark, New Jersey. Like, we don't know. But the only way to know and the only way to prevent this from happening to someone, and the only way to stop there from being a next one, is to not let these people in without keeping track of who's coming in and without regulating who's coming in, okay? We need to be letting in people who genuinely want to be citizens, people who want to assimilate, people who want to add value to this wonderful country. Okay? We can't be letting in people that are trying to destroy it. We can't be letting in people who don't care. Okay? If you can't even speak our language and you're not trying to, you're not even being bothered to try. If you can't bother to do that, if you can't bother to work, if you're not being bothered to, add value to the community, to, contribute to society, to raise virtuous children who love their country and love their fellow American, and love their God. Like, if you're not going to do that, you got to have, what are you offering us? You know what I'm saying? This is not the way to do things. Okay? This is killing people. All right, so that's all I wanted to say about that. Let's move to the next topic. We got Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, this is kind of like the same topic. It's more about the wall. So let's see what Tulsi says. It says 3 years ago, Biden/Harris canceled Trump's wall and opened our borders while claiming our borders secure. Now, in a desperate attempt to fool us, they care about border security. They admit we have no choice but to waive 26 federal laws to start construction in southern Texas. Too little, too late. Let's see what Tulsi says. Okay.
I want to take you on a walk down memory lane here for a second. If you remember when President Biden first took office, one of the very first things he did was to stop all construction on the 200 plus miles of the border wall that President Trump had started constructing while he was in office. Well, now fast forward to where we are now, 3 years later after the Biden administration's disastrous open border policies, we have unprecedented numbers of people coming into our country illegally. Now, 3 years later, the Biden administration is claiming, hey, we have no choice but to waive 26 federal laws so that they can go and build 26 miles of the border wall in South Texas. This is such a joke. First of all, this is way too little, way too late. It's not going to do anything to stop this continuous flow of illegal immigrants flooding across our entire border. Now, second, let's be clear. This is not about a sudden desire to secure our border. This is about politics. We have Democrat leaders in cities like New York and in LA who are
Adams in New York. I don't know who's in LA, but Gavin Newsom's in California, so
complaining now to President Biden, and his poll numbers are dropping. So this action, this decision is simply political theater by the Biden-Harris administration, trying to fool us, trying to fool the American people into thinking that after years of them denying that there's even a problem at the border, saying over and over, President Biden saying, I will never build a wall on the border. With him, Kamala Harris, Secretary Mayorkas, all of them repeating over and over to Congress and to the American people, the border is secure. Now, all of a sudden, they want us to believe, well, it's actually not secure, which we know is true. And now, all of a sudden, they are committed to securing our border. Give me a break. We, the American people, are not that stupid, and we're not buying what they're selling.
Yeah. It's funny because they're doing things that leftists always do, okay? The leftist cycle of action is this, okay? First they tell you that something is not happening. Okay? An example in this case is the border is secure. No one bad is coming in. Drugs are not flowing across the border. There's not a fentanyl epidemic due to illegal aliens. That's the first thing they're going to say, okay? Or they said. First, they said it's not happening, okay? Second, they say, well, it is happening, but it's good. Okay? You see where we're going with this? So now it is happening and it's good. So the first thing they said was it's not happening, aka our border is secure. There's nothing to worry about here, nothing to see here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtains. The second thing they're saying is, yeah, they are coming in at the border, but we're doing something about it. But we built a wall. We're building a wall. We're taking Trump's wall. You know what I'm saying? That's like, bro, it is too little too late. And to be honest, Tulsi's right about this. As much as I love a border wall, as much as the next guy, number one, it's not a border wall. It's like a fraction of a border wall. Okay? And the other thing is the border wall that Trump was talking about was only, how do I explain it? It was only part of the plan, okay? It was only part of Trump's plan. Trump saying we're going to build a wall, it's going to be huge. When he was saying that, he didn't just mean they're building a wall, okay? He meant we're building a wall, we're funding ICE and Border Customs and Homeland Security, and we're empowering these people at the border to keep out unwanted guests, okay? That is what he wrapped up in, it's going to be huge, we're building a wall, all right? So for Biden to only be saying we're building a wall now, that's the difference between when Trump says we're building a wall and when Joe Biden does, okay? That's the big difference. Because to be honest, even if you just have a wall, it's not the most you can do, okay? The best way to go about this is to build the wall and, again, empower the people at the border to do their jobs. Let them do their jobs, okay? They're great men and women who work down at the border. Let them do their jobs. and then implement measures to stop the flow of drugs and, get a good vetting system here and a good documentation system. Because if someone wants to come into the US, I'm all for it, okay? I'm an Italian American. My family came here in like 1920s, okay? I have census records from my family landed at Ellis Island in the 20s, all right? So, my family hasn't always been here in the US. Most of the US citizens are immigrants, okay? I happen to be a third generation in my family who was here, okay? I'm the second generation that was born here, okay? So maybe even the third generation that was born here, to be honest, depending on which side of my family I'm talking about, okay? But, back then we had things in place. Sure, people got through, people escaped the system. I mean, you're going to escape any system, but, there's a way to do things, and this is not it, okay? And as for Tulsi, she's so close, she's so close. Like, she's so close to being a conservative, at least in my opinion. She's almost there. She just got to keep going. Just keep going a little bit, and she's almost there, okay? Next up, Hillary Clinton. She's in the news again. This is a tweet an ex from Larry Elder. Okay, I will still likely be the nominee, and we have to defeat him and those who are the election deniers. From Hillary Clinton on October 6th, 2023. Okay. She went on to say, Trump knows he's an illegitimate president. The tactics they used, from voter suppression and voter purging to hacking, blah, blah, blah. That was in 2019. Okay. Like, bro, she would still say this. Okay? Hillary Clinton would still say that Trump is an illegitimate president. Okay? The fact that she's saying Trump is still likely to be the nominee, that is true. Trump's a baller. Trump's going to win. Okay? In her mind, her trying to defeat Trump is kind of a cracked out methodology, okay? She's not that guy. I don't know who she's talking about, who she's campaigning for when she says this, though. Because, to my knowledge, she's not running again this time. So I don't know who she's trying to campaign for. Maybe she's just trying to muster support for, her elites, friends and stuff. But that's rough, bro. To still think that Trump was with Russia and he's an illegitimate president and we need to put his supporters in concentration camps to deprogram them. Like, this is dictator talk, okay? This is dictatorial talk right here. And I don't understand why no one is batting an eye. No one's confronting her about this. No one's talking about this. This is not in the national conversation. Like, she just revealed how she feels about people she disagrees with. Okay? Next up, Ian Miles Chong, an ex from him. A cashier in Finland deals with shoplifters, okay? Let's see what happens. Let's take the music down because I don't want to get copyrighted. Okay, so the cashier is going after the guy who's trying to steal things. Let's see what happens. He's on his way out. She got the items back. Good. It looks like she's got some kind of pepper spray or mace. Oh, she sprays. Guess what? They're out of there. They're done. She chased him out. That's wild. All right. The reason this is in the podcast, this is kind of housekeeping. The reason this is in housekeeping is because we need to be more like Finland in this regard, okay? I know there's videos from us who do this, you know, a shopkeeper in, you know, the South somewhere, all right? You know, someone down here tweeted girl boss. I would agree. This is a girl boss, okay? That's a girl boss. Stopping 2 people from stealing from the store, pulling out mace and hitting them with it, and then taking back the items they stole. That's girl boss behavior right there. That goes hard. All right? I just wanted to mention that because, you know, in America, people need to learn this lesson. That if you try to steal, you're gonna get cooked. You're getting wiped. All right? You're getting wiped if you try to steal in America. That's what we need people to understand. If the cops are not gonna arrest people and they stay arrested, we have to teach people a lesson, okay? There's an old saying that bullying builds character. And while I don't disagree completely, I also don't agree with that statement totally because it's a harsh way of thinking. However, the thing that happens with bullying is that it teaches kids to stand up for themselves a lot of times, okay? And a bully's not going to mess with you if they're going to get cracked from doing it, okay? Notice bullies don't harass people who punch easily. If you punch hard and you punch often, guess who's not messing with you? Bullies. Okay? If you have an arsenal of 35 guns in your basement and 12 upstairs in your bedroom, guess whose house is not getting broken into? Yours. If you got 2 dogs and they both have a taste for human flesh, guess who's not getting broken into? If you're a woman who's packing a gun and mace, guess who's not getting kidnapped? Guess who's not getting messed with? You. All right? This is how you deal with criminals. This is how you deal with street rat degenerative behavior. Okay? You deal with it with force. If this person's past the point of listening to reason, okay, and their socioeconomic circumstances that led them to this place, you got to be the socioeconomic circumstance that leads them out of that place. All right? That's what I want to see. All right, welcome back. I apologize. I had to take a brief intermission for something, but we are back, and let's get back into the news. All right, so this is from CNN Politics. Why the Israel-Gaza conflict is so complicated for Biden. All right, so if you guys didn't know, currently there has been an attack from Hamas on Israel over the Gaza Strip. So, you know, the conflict there has been going on for a while, but there's been a flare-up, I suppose, with missiles. There's been some people who, you know, there's been some casualties, some people dead, some people injured. So, you know, obviously praying for, you know, a resolution to this, praying for safety for people. So let's see, why is it so complicated for Joe Biden?
Today, the people of Israel are under attack, orchestrated by a terrorist organization, Hamas. In this moment of tragedy, I want to say to them and to the world and to terrorists everywhere that the United States stands with Israel. We will not ever fail to have their back. We'll make sure that they have the help their citizens need and they can continue to defend themselves. You know, the world's seen appalling images. Thousands of rockets in the space of hours raining down on Israeli cities. When I got up this morning, started this at 7:30, 8 o'clock, my calls. Hamas terrorists crossing in Israel, killing not only Israeli soldiers, but Israeli civilians. In the street, in their homes, innocent people murdered, wounded, entire families taken hostage by Hamas. Just days after Israel marked the holiest of days in the Jewish calendar. It's unconscionable. You know, when I spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu this morning, I told him the United States stands with the people of Israel in the face of these terrorist assaults. Israel has the right to defend itself and its people, full stop. There's never justification for terrorist attacks. and my administration's support for Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering. Let me say this as clearly as I can. This is not a moment for any party hostile to Israel to exploit these attacks to seek advantage.
Yo, guys, people who hate Israel, don't attack them right now. They're at war. Don't do that. This is not that time. Okay, if there's ever a time to attack your enemy, it's while they are currently fending off hordes of enemies, okay? With that being said, I appreciate how Joe Biden is expressing support for Israel. Israel is an ally of the United States. You know, we should be supporting them. However, there's two problems I have. There's two problems I have with this, okay? Number one is that Joe Biden is kind of sharing blame with this because he's given money to Iran. Okay, he's supported giving money to Iran, and so a lot of people are firing shots at him for that. The other reason I have an issue with this scenario here is because those words were pretty weak words. Okay, he doesn't seem, you know, like he's serious about this. He doesn't seem invested. He doesn't seem angry. He doesn't seem passionate. He doesn't seem strong. He doesn't seem anything. He seems dead. Like, he seems like these guys were like, you know, his cabinet was like, and you know, and his staffers were like, all right, you got to get out there. Here's your script. Go read it. And he's just like, let's get this over with. That's the attitude that I got from this. Like, he's not, you know, he's not looking super strong. Like, look at this.
Terrorist organization, Hamas. In this moment of tragedy, I want to say to them and to the world and to terrorists everywhere that the United States stands with Israel.
I want to say to terrorists everywhere, the United States stands with Israel. Will not ever fail to aid Israel. Like, he's like, I don't know. He's weak on this. So let's read. President Joe Biden and his top aides were absorbing the explosion of violence in Israel on Saturday and contending with a complicated diplomatic situation unlike any previous conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. Okay. Ties between Biden and his Israeli counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu, friends for decades, have been strained by Netanyahu's far-right governing coalition in Israel. Okay. Chill. Calm down. Far-right. Calm down. Calm down. Anyone you talk to that knows about Israel's politics knows that they've had a pretty leftist government for a long time. All right, you could talk to Ben Shapiro about this. He has many resources, as he is Jewish, and he is very up to date and, you know, follows along with the Israeli government, as that's kind of his people. Okay, he will tell you two issues with this. Number one, Netanyahu and Biden are not very good friends for decades. Okay, and the other thing is that Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right governing coalition, it may be true that Netanyahu's slightly right, I'm not sure. However, overwhelmingly, the Israeli government is very, very, very leftist, pretty progressive, okay? So let's continue. A fractured political environment among the Palestinians will make it difficult for American officials to identify a reliable negotiating partner. Basically, what that means is they barely have a government there. So negotiating with, you know, barely a government is hard, because who do you go to? Who's the man in charge? You know what I'm saying? So in the U.S., an already active Republican presidential primary campaign appears destined to pin blame on Biden for helping fuel attacks on Israel through his recent deal with Iran. Okay. And by this Republican presidential campaign, I think they mean most of the Republicans running. Specifically, I think Nikki Haley. She's been overwhelmingly in support of Israel. Okay. That all amounts to one of the most volatile geopolitical situations of Biden's presidency, which is also confronting war in Ukraine that has become a politically fraught issue at home. On a phone call Saturday, Biden told Netanyahu, "We stand ready to offer all appropriate means of support to the government and people of Israel." All right. So the reason I wanted to talk about this, aside from the fact that Biden gave money to Iran and is now saying there's, they have an undying, rock solid support for Israel, it's a little bit, disingenuous. All right. It's not the nicest thing to choose both sides of a conflict. So, that's why he's coming across as not ideal and not, he's kind of fence sitting in this. He's trying to serve two masters here. Okay. Now, in terms of Israel, I kind of have an interesting take on things. I kind of have the opinion that I'm kind of split on this, to be honest. Okay. As a Christian, I understand that Israeli people are God's chosen people. And I also understand that this conflict was not news to followers of the Bible. Okay. The Bible talks about Israel's land coming under attack in the end times. However, when it comes to the U.S. giving aid, I do think we tend to overdo it a little bit, which results in us giving money and resources and technologies to other countries to us, on a scale that we kind of can't really keep up with. Because we've painted ourselves in this way. We've established a title for ourselves that we're kind of the older brother of many countries in the world. And then they tend to rely on us for certain things. And, they tend to have high standards and expect a lot from the U.S. Okay? This means that we're never allowed to have anything wrong with our country. Okay? If we ever hit economic turmoil and have to pull our support for other countries, that's going to look bad. You know what I'm saying? So it's a double-edged sword, in my opinion. I'm not saying that we shouldn't support Israel. I'm not saying that we should give everything we have to them. Okay? What I am saying is we need to be smart about who we share resources with. I do think Israel is one of the people or one of the countries we should share resources with, and intel and all this stuff. But, a lot of people may say that, my take on Ukraine doesn't coincide with my take on Israel, and it's hypocritical. And it's not super hypocritical. I mean, the war in Ukraine has literally nothing to do with us. And Ukraine is basically just a money laundering operation between U.S. politicians, oligarchs, and lobbyists, okay? So it's a little different with Israel. Israel has historically been a strong ally of ours. And again, I am also saying we shouldn't overgive. Okay, there is such a thing as overexerting our resources and overexerting ourselves. And I do think the harder life gets at home, the less we should be supporting other countries. Okay? The harder times get here in the US, the less we should be sending money overseas. Okay? So, again, we should be smart about what we're doing here and who we're helping. Okay? But I do think Israel is worth our help. Okay? It's a shame what's happening, and I hope everyone stays safe and out of danger. And I hope for little casualties. Okay? The least amount we can get would be amazing. Okay? Let's move on. Next bit of news. Kind of the same thing, but Trump's take on this. Okay? So Trump condemns Hamas attacks on Israel, suggests that Biden admin funding behind attacks. So Iran, basically, it's a similar thing. So let's see. Donald Trump condemned the attack Hamas launched on Israel overnight, saying unequivocally that Israel has a right to defend itself. Okay? These Hamas attacks are a disgrace, and Israel has every right to defend itself with overwhelming force. Trump posted to Truth Social Saturday morning. Okay, sadly, American taxpayer dollars helped fund these attacks, with many reports are saying came from the Biden administration. Okay, we brought so much peace to the Middle East through the Abraham Accords, only to see Biden whittle it away at a far more rapid pace than anyone thought possible. Here we go again. Okay, so Donald Trump, here's the tweet, or here's the Truth Social post. Okay, so former president and current 2024 GOP frontrunner notably mentioned Abraham Accords, a U.S. foreign policy initiative from Trump White House that strengthened peace in the Middle East through bilateral agreements. Okay, this is true. I mean, a lot of praise was given to Donald Trump for the Abraham Accords. This is one of those times when he negotiated, some peace in the Middle East. And it's also not the first time that he's done so against people's expectations, okay? Everyone's like, this guy's got the nuclear codes. He's going to destroy the world. Here's World War III. And then, fast forward to the Abraham Accords. There's that he has under his belt. He met with Kim Jong-un and established a decent relationship with him. There's probably plenty more examples that are in existence of amazing negotiations that he's underwent, okay? So I wanted to just give you guys Trump's side of this story and, show you guys what he's saying about this. Okay, let's pivot a little bit. McCarthy. Let's talk about Speaker McCarthy, or former Speaker McCarthy now. All right, this is from Daily Wire. McCarthy fires back at the 8 Republicans who upended his speakership. Upended. Okay? Serious words here. All right? Kevin McCarthy, no longer burdened by trying to keep the entire Republican conference together after being removed as Speaker of the House on Wednesday, gave blunt answers to reporters during a press conference following the historic vote in the House. Okay? McCarthy said that there's a lot of ways that he could continue to serve the American people without having to be Speaker of the House, and that it wasn't worth risking paralyzing Congress if only a few Republicans who didn't like him for personal reasons were so committed to keeping him out of this position. Okay? He says this, I think you should put the country first. This job was never about me. Lie. He said later, adding, why would I do something for myself that can hurt the country? Bro, I know you want to do like a rhetorical question there, but like, get in line, dude. Every politician ever who's made a decision has made the decision to benefit themselves and hurt their country, okay? It's like every politician. Stop. Get off your soapbox, my boy. Okay? So why would I do something for myself that hurts the country? I'm not quite sure those individuals are looking to be productive. It concerns me as a Republican based on watching what they do. McCarthy said that it was a mistake helping elect many of the 8 Republicans who voted to oust him, which includes Matt Gaetz, Andy Biggs, Ken Buck, Eli Crane, Bob Good, Matt Rosendale, Tim Burchett, and Nancy Mace. Remember those names because those are the only politicians that should stay in office. Okay? Everyone who did not vote to oust McCarthy should be out or ousted from their office, okay? In my opinion, as a conservative, okay? I'm not saying we should be locking people up or anything like that. I'm just saying that this list of names right here it seems to be the only friends of the conservative movement, okay? So keep those names in mind. These are the same people that sat on the floor and criticized me that we didn't get all 12 spending bills done. He said they held up every appropriation bill in the summer because they wouldn't let it come through. After the debt ceiling, they stopped us from doing anything on the floor. McCarthy said that Gaetz told him back in January he wanted a rule implemented that would allow a single member to file a motion to vacate and that he promised to never use it. Okay? He said those Republicans who voted against his original stopgap spending bill voted against making spending cuts, voted against border security, and later partnered with Democrats to remove him, thus showing that they are not conservative. Okay? Now, I want to talk about this. McCarthy saying that Gaetz wanted a rule that they could oust him, but promised not to use it. Okay? The thing I want to say about this is, McCarthy, if you're watching this podcast, you got played, dog. You got played. Okay? And if a politician is gonna lie, I'd rather he lie to a fellow politician instead of me, okay? So if Gaetz really did tell you, I want this rule and I'm not going to use it against you, I promise, I pinky promise, and he had his fingers crossed behind his back, I don't care. You can call Matt Gaetz a liar. What I call him in that instance is a savage, because that is behavior I want to see. Okay? I don't want to see liars in office. However, since we already got him, I'd rather a lie for my side than a lie for that side. Okay? That's what I'm going to say about Matt Gaetz promising to never use the rule. Like, come on, McCarthy. You didn't know that? You, like, come on. That's like if you had a weapon and someone's like, oh, dude, just give me the weapon. Like, I'm not going to hurt you with it. And then you give it to him and then he hurts you with it. You're like, bro, like, that was dumb. McCarthy, you're an idiot. This is why you got ousted. If you could get played this hard, you shouldn't be Speaker of the House. Get out. Okay? So McCarthy said, they're not conservatives. They voted against me. The greatest cut in history that Congress has ever voted for, he said. They voted against work requirements. They voted against a NIPA reform. They voted against border security, against guns. They don't get to say they're conservative because they're angry and they're chaotic, okay? That's not the party I belong to. You're right, you don't belong to the conservative party, McCarthy. No one likes you. Okay? The party of Reagan was if you believed in your principles that you could govern in a conservative way. They are not conservatives and they do not have the right to have the title. Okay. I'm going to say this, and I think it's maybe a hot topic, but it shouldn't be. Bro, conservatives don't care about Reagan. Okay? People who care about Reagan are just Republicans. Conservatives do not care. Stop dropping Reagan's name. It's not going to get you support. It's not going to muster sympathy. It's nothing, okay? Reagan means nothing. Okay? He was one of 46 presidents. Like, if you're stuck on Reagan, you're either a boomer or you're just a Republican, a rhino, okay? Stop quoting Reagan. He's not God. Get out of here. All right, that's all I wanted to say on McCarthy. I just wanted to laugh at the fact that he got voted out. No one liked him. No one's going to miss him. Good riddance. I hope to see a good Speaker of the House. I'm pretty sure, Jim Jordan is up for debate here. Somebody else too, I forget. And then people have floated Donald Trump's name, which would kind of be funny. I'm kind of hoping it is Trump, just because, the most entertaining explanation should be, the course we take. So it would be very entertaining to have Donald Trump become Speaker of the House. I would like that very much. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. So same topic, except different article. This is from Daily Wire. Matt Gaetz grilled over paralyzing Congress as war breaks out in the Middle East. Okay. So Gaetz was grilled in an interview on Sunday over whether his actions last week, which effectively paralyzed Congress just prior to a war breaking out, were responsible. Big deal. Congress gets held up all the time. It's not a war that directly affects us. Who cares? Gaetz made the remarks during an interview with Kristen Welker on NBC. All right. So he's giving comments on the first Speaker of the House in history being removed. Welker noted remarks that McCarthy, who was the Speaker till last week, made over the weekend in light of the terror attacks in Israel. So this is McCarthy talking here. He says, the fact that the House of Representatives is leaderless at this important moment, why would you ever remove a speaker from a term and raise a doubt around the world, okay? No one cares, Speaker McCarthy. You're not God. You're not the king. Like, you're one of like 500 politicians that we know of, okay, and that govern. So you're not going to be missed. You're not that important. You're replaceable. Get the freak out of here. All right? So let's see.
Welcome back. After just 9 months, Kevin McCarthy became the first House Speaker in history to be voted out of the job. Here's how members of Congress are describing the chaos on Capitol Hill. Quote, one has to wonder whether the House is governable at all. Another called it a vote for chaos. Others called themselves ashamed and embarrassed. A handful of House members just want to blow up the institution and themselves in the process. sad. And that's what Republicans are saying. With the government shutdown 41 days away and looking more likely, members of Congress have left Washington. A speaker election is planned for Wednesday, but the...
Bro, 41 days away? You're worried about Gaetz paralyzing Congress, and it's 41 days away from shutdown. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break.
Fight for the job could drag on for weeks. I'm joined now by Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida. Congressman Gaetz, welcome to Meet the Press.
Chilling in Florida, I like it.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Kristen.
I want to start off with recent comments by the now ousted Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, who said just yesterday the fact that the House of Representatives is leaderless at this important moment, he says, quote, why would you ever remove a speaker during a term and, quote, raise a doubt around the world? Did your actions this week to remove the speaker undermine U.S. national security and safety?
Well, I don't think that other countries think about Kevin McCarthy's speakership quite as much as Kevin McCarthy does. We'll have a new speaker next week, and we'll be prepared to do our work. Kevin McCarthy was removed.
Look, next week. We got a new speaker next week. Next week ain't 41 days. We'll be fine. And I agree with that. No one else on the world stage is concerned about Speaker McCarthy and him being ousted.
Because he made multiple contradictory promises to people that ultimately could not be reconciled. The Democrats didn't trust him. House Republicans on the conservative side of our caucus didn't trust him. And that ultimately led to us making a decision to move forward with someone new. Fortunately, we've got two great men running for Speaker, Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. I reject the premise that this is going to drag on for weeks. My colleague Kevin Hern was contemplating a run, but I received a message from him recently that he won't be mounting that campaign precisely because in a two-man race, it's going to be pretty clear who gets the most votes. I do want to say, based on what's going on in Israel right now, it is horrifying. We stand with the people of Israel. Israel has a right to defend itself. I get the sense that Israel is going to be larger, not smaller, at the end of this conflict. And you have to take note that every place, whether it's Gaza or Judea and Samaria, where Israel has given back territory, life has gotten worse for the people who live in those places. And I think Israel's actions right now are justified, though we certainly hope that the carnage and the death comes to an end as soon as possible.
Congressman, you say that you stand with Israel, you're ready to defend Israel, and yet you're completely incapable of helping Israel because you've brought Congress to a standstill, a state of paralysis, have you not?
Well, you just heard the Secretary of State reject that premise. We have a 10-year ongoing memorandum of understanding that
he
sends
didn't reject
Israel,
it, Congressman.
he
called Congress to get back to work.
Hold on, let me get a word in here, Kristen. Yeah, but what he said was there was no need in Israel that we're not going to be able to meet based on the funding that we've already approved for Israel. And the reason we have this multi-billion-dollar commitment each and every year to Israel is because we want Israel to have a qualitative military edge over everyone in the region. They have that edge. Israel has air superiority now.
All right, so Matt Gaetz speaking the truth. Okay. People love to just blow things out of proportion. Oh, Israel's gonna die without the U.S. having a Speaker of the House and approving funds. Like, they're fine. Israel's a big boy. They can fight their own war for a little bit. You know, he said there's already pre-approved aid going there. So, and again, government shutdowns in like 41 days, it said, and new speaker comes in, a week or so. So it's not a big deal. Stop blowing things out of proportion. Okay. Next up, and lastly, we got another one from Daily Wire. We're Daily Wire heavy today. Benjamin Netanyahu. He warns Palestinians to leave Gaza as Israel hits Hamas. And he says, we are going to turn it into rubble. Okay? Again, this is the same topic. It's the Israel versus Hamas in Gaza. Okay? And remember I was saying how Joe Biden was weak on this? These are not weak words. Threatening to turn a whole territory into rubble is what you're going to say if you're at war, okay? Excuse me. The other thing that I want to point out is that there's a huge difference in moral standing between these two sides, okay? Hamas and a lot of Palestinians are not okay with Israeli people. They want them eradicated. They don't like them. While the Israeli people are like, if you just leave us alone, we will have peace. We will leave you alone, okay? So this is, and it's evidenced in this. I mean, Netanyahu warns Palestinians to leave Gaza, okay? He's saying, get out. If you don't want to get blown up, leave, please. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu warned Palestinians, not Republicans, that they needed to immediately leave Gaza because the Israeli Defense Force was preparing to turn it into rubble. Strong words. I like it. The warning from Netanyahu came after Palestinian terrorists murdered hundreds of Israeli civilians in rocket attacks and shootings throughout Israel on Saturday. Okay. Dear citizens of Israel, this morning on Shabbat and a holiday, Hamas invaded Israeli territory and murdered innocent citizens, including children and elderly. Hamas has started a brutal and evil war, he said. We will be victorious in this war despite an unbearable price. This is a very difficult day for all of us. Hamas wants to murder us all. This is an enemy that murders children and mothers in their homes, in their beds, and an enemy that abducts elderly children and young women, that slaughters and massacres our citizens, including children who simply went out to enjoy the holiday, okay? What happened today is unprecedented in Israel, and I will see to it that it does not happen again. The entire government is behind this decision. The IDF will immediately use all its strength to destroy Hamas capabilities. We will destroy them, and we will forcefully avenge this dark day that they have forced on the state of Israel and its citizens. Okay. Netanyahu then warned that all the places which Hamas is deployed and hiding in and operating in, we will turn them into rubble. Okay. This is what we want to see. You want to see Netanyahu speaking tough, but warning the people that don't need to be involved, okay? That is how you handle this, okay? You speak strong, you strike fear into the hearts of your enemy. However, the people who are not your enemy, you say, get out, so you're not collateral. Please listen to my words, okay? So, very, very long episode today. A lot of topics we covered, a lot of things were said. So, you know, if you liked it, follow along, throw a like down there, throw a comment down below, and, you know, follow me on my socials if you want to keep up to date. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.